Hey everybody, this is Dilijana Mileva and I'm excited to bring you Menopause Made Easy, a podcast designed to provide you tips and strategy to navigate the changes in woman's body, mind and spirit with more grace and ease. I appreciate you tuning in. Remember to like, subscribe and turn on your notifications so you are updated of each episode release. Alright, let's dive in. Hello everyone for a new episode of Menopause Made Easy. And I have a wonderful guest again with me this week. It's Helena Demuynck. And she is a founder of Oxygen for Leadership. Has been entrepreneur from 35 years, consulting corporate and coaching executive since she started her first business at 25. After 20 years in executive search, placing senior women into corporate roles, Helena shifted her focus to transform coaching, specializing in what she calls authentic self-discovery for female leaders. She's coached executive from Microsoft, KPMG, Johnson & Johnson, EI, combining systems coaching, NLP, and embodiment practices to help women lead from wellness rather from performance. Helena's platform includes Power Talks for Remarkable Female, the Boundary Breaks Collective, and the Oxygen for Leadership Summit. Now based in the mountains of Malaga, it's a beautiful city. She's passionate about addressing the reality of being the only woman in the room and helping female leaders redefine success on their own terms. Welcome, Helena.
Thank you so much, Juliana, for having me. Thrilled to be here.
You talk about the permission to disappoint as a leadership superpower. For women going through major life transition, what does that permission actually look like in practice?
Well, the permission to disappoint is like a metaphor, right? It's not something that we ask, like, can I have your permission to disappoint you? The thing is that disappointment as a concept is very much related to expectations, right? When are we disappointed? When we had certain expectations about a person or an event or whatever, and it didn't happen, or it happened in a different way, not something that we expected. And even if the outcome might be also good, because it's not what we planned, we feel disappointed. And so a lot of us women, we are so focused on pleasing other people, on pleasing our boss, on pleasing our colleagues, pleasing our team, pleasing our customers, pleasing our spouses, our children, and so on and so on. That I think that we should have this permission slip to disappoint in terms of we don't always have to show up perfectly. We don't always have to show up, period, when other people are expecting it, because that is what we actually do, right? We are pouring our attention and our service and our efforts and our energy everywhere, especially when people are yelling loud, asking for a lot of attention or are very needy. And the last person that we think of taking care of is ourselves. And so this is basically why I say, in like a funny way, you have the permission to disappoint, because you don't have to live up to everybody's expectations all the time.
And
especially when things go tough.
Voice your need, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. There is so much to bring this voice in women leadership position because they are kind of still underestimated in the male world.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's
Yeah.
important to shift this perspective and how they see themselves.
Yeah.
So you've coached executive for 35 years. What do you notice happen to women's leadership style when she stopped trying to manage everyone else's expectation of her? Can you share an example of this transformation?
But just imagine for yourself, and also people listening in, just imagine that you stop doing everything that is expected from you. how would that make you feel? Probably at first it would make you feel guilty. It would make you feel maybe a little bit ashamed because people will say that you are egocentric, that you are, not caring enough about other people, or that you are not committed to whatever commitment that you have been made before. But being able to mentally and emotionally free yourself from that guilt or blame will end up in freedom, in absolute freedom, and in having a lot less stress, having a lot less stress about all the things that we have to do or all the things that we should do. So it is extremely important to regularly assess, like, what is it that I am doing? What is it that I am doing day in, day out? Why am I doing this? Is this relevant? Is it important? Does it serve my values? Does it serve my beliefs? Does it serve my goals? And if not, let's just stop doing that, or doing it in a different way, in a way where the responsibility is not all mine. We have like a shared responsibility, or I start delegating more and more and see what happens. And trust me, you will feel a lot of weight going from your shoulders, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's challenging sometimes, it's a very challenging. So, what steps they can take to overcome this guilt?
Guilt is a script in your own head, right? It's a voice in your head that is put there probably a long, long, long time ago, and that comes up in these kind of situations. And so it's important to understand where this voice is coming from. Maybe it's coming from your parents or a caretaker when you were a small child, that planted in your head when you were not obedient, when you were doing the things your own way. That was not what was expected from you. When you were thinking of yourself and when you do self-care, that is egocentric. So this is a voice in your head that you choose to listen to or not to listen to. So it is about understanding that you can have a different conversation with yourself based on a very good knowledge and understanding of what really matters to you, of what is really important to you. And if you have that goal clear, it is like your inner compass, and you can say, yes, I don't do that anymore because it's not serving my goal. It's not serving what I want to manifest in my life. It is not aligned with my values. And so it is about having a different conversation with yourself. And of course, also having conversations with other people, because if you stop serving and if you stop doing a lot of things for other people that are used to that, then it would not be very coherent to just stop it like that, right? It is basically a conversation is needed, and might not be a comfortable or an easy conversation, but having that conversation can be very, very relieving, and also taking away the guilt, because you show and you have people understand that it is not about neglecting them or really deleting them in your life. It is about reorganizing the interactions that you have. And actually, you do that with your children too, right? I mean, if you have a child, you are serving it and helping it and supporting it in a completely different way when it is 3 or 7 or 14 or 21. And we have a lot of conversations with our children about where you are starting more to delegate and to give them more responsibilities themselves, instead of having, us to do everything, like in the morning making their picnic for school, or their lunch boxes for school, or whatever. I mean, we do have these conversations. You can also have these conversations with your spouse. When you say, I'm not the only one doing everything in the house anymore, you can have these conversations with your teams. Like, how can I help you to become more independent, to grow more, to take on more responsibilities? I see that you come for help every week for the same thing. So there's no growth and evolution there. What is it that you need in order to finish this job independently? Things like that, that kind of conversation. And some of them are easier, other are more difficult. But then it is about self-leadership to just find the courage to have those conversations, right? And you build that up step by step. Don't start with the most difficult conversation, grow into that if that is something that you might feel difficult to do. Yeah.
Yeah, having
You
the
have
courage.
this, you have this permission to disappoint, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, so the
Mm,
key is the open communication with the
exactly.
team, with the other peers, and also maybe the other managers, so that you express exactly how much you can handle and how much you can delegate, right?
Yeah, and it is, it's a gift for the other person because you are helping him or her towards more independence, towards more growth, personal growth or professional growth, because they take commitment for things that they can do themselves, right? It's also, I mean, there's also a situation, we didn't mention it yet, with friends, where you might find yourself the one that is always organizing everything, that is always doing the cooking or always doing the dishes or always setting up the barbecue scenery and things like that. So also there it is about instead of doing it and then feel resentment, right? Which also is expressed somehow, even if you don't mean it. It is about having the conversations like, okay, how can we, have different people involved in this project or in this event, and who is going to do what? And where are the people that have certain qualities or gifts or talents that can take over these and these and these responsibilities, right?
Right. Many of my listeners are high achievers who are built their career of being reliable, available, and saying yes. How do they navigate the fear that setting boundary or disappointing people will damage their professional reputation?
Well, I think saying yes all the time is not exactly the best way to build your professional reputation. Because if you say yes to everything, think of it. Actually, by saying yes to everything, you say no to a lot of other things. And it means that you don't discern what is relevant to say yes to. And so just imagine this. You have a team, all right? You're a director, a manager, and you have a team. And you are running that team, and you have your goals for the department, and you have your ways of working, and you have the interactions. Everybody knows their roles and their tasks. But you can never say no to your boss. So whatever your boss is coming with, you say yes. How does that impact your team? Because everything that you say yes to in your organization will have an impact on your team, right? So how will they feel safe? And how will they feel you as a leader if you never say, no, this is not possible, this is not our responsibility, we cannot do this now, there is too much already going on, this is a project that we should have more time, more space, more resources, things like that. Think of how your team will look at you if you say yes all the time. Also, if you say yes to your team all the time, think of how you actually are keeping your team small, because it means that you are, jumping around. I had a client, and she was taking on all the work that her team didn't want to do or couldn't do or didn't want to learn to do or whatever. So her boss saw that she was working way too hard, and she was asked to leave the office at 6, right? And so she just started to take everything home, and then she continued at home. So whenever one of her team had a problem or an issue or something that they didn't really know how to deal with it, they went to Anya. And they said, Anya, I don't know how to deal with it. And Anya said, well, you know what? Because she had this mother type management style. Don't worry, I will do this for you. So, what do you think happens next time this person has an issue? It's simple, right? It is like a perverse form of education, a perverse form of educating your team. So, always saying yes to your team or always saying yes to your boss is not a leadership capacity. It is basically disempowering you, and it is taking you away from important work that might create your visibility in the organization, that might bring you more strategic impact in the organization, because you are doing everything that somebody else is not doing. Yeah. Does
That
that make
also
sense?
increase the stress and also
Oh,
the
absolutely.
overwhelmed, and then that affect the cortisol level and the hormones. And if you are women
Exactly.
in the
Yeah.
menopause, that can affect your also symptoms, right? That's
Yeah.
not prioritized and not delegate. That can definitely affect your health for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
For
Yeah.
sure. So you mentioned that the same courage required for major physical changes can transform leadership presence. Can you explain that connection?
Yeah, of course. I mean, just imagine that you say, I want to have a healthier life. I want to exercise more. I want to eat better. I want to sleep better. This is not something that you just decide and you do, right? You probably will have a plan. You might look for support. You might look for sponsors, people that, have your back when things are going a little bit difficult, and you create a plan, and you do this step by step, right? You will first of all, for example, analyze your habits, analyze your eating habits, analyze your daily habits, like, okay, I want to exercise more. When am I going to do that? Because we already have a lot on our plate, right? And what are we going to do? Because when you're 50, you will exercise in a different way than when you are 30, right? So you have a plan in place, right? So if you are talking about leadership growth, leadership development, like, for example, learning how to say no, you also have a plan, and you're also looking for support. A very good idea is to look for a coach. Like you would look for a coach in sports when you want to exercise, or when you go through menopause, for example, Liliana, you look for a menopause coach. If you want this leadership growth, you do the same, and you set your goals or your aspirations. This is what I want to achieve, right? And you are basically becoming that new person. Because I strongly believe also, when you want to change something in your personal life, you are becoming a different person, right? You are becoming a healthy living person, right? You don't say, I'm on a diet, but I'm not a healthy person. Your diet won't work. You're not going to say, I will quit alcohol or I will stop smoking, but actually I'm a smoker. No, you're not a smoker anymore. You are a healthy person, right? So basically, there's a kind of an identity shift. And the same goes for leadership growth. If you say, okay, I want to become a different leader, then it is about having a clear vision of who that is, right? And then what works very good for me is, if you have this clear vision, there are like visualization practices for that, or you can write about what your life looks like, and how you are leading, or how you are, organizing your personal life if you want to achieve goals there. Every time you have a decision to make, or every time things get a little bit difficult or tricky, you could say, what is my new version? What would she do? What would she choose? How would she respond now? Right. So if it is about healthy eating and you have chocolate in the fridge, which I do not recommend if you want to eat healthy, but you could open the fridge and see that chocolate, and you could ask yourself, what would the healthy me do? And the healthy me would probably say, well, I won't eat that piece of chocolate. I go for the apple or for something else that is healthy, right? So if you have this vision of yourself as a leader, you can do the same. If you are in a situation where you say, okay, my normal response would be saying yes, you said, okay, what would my best version of myself do in this situation? How would she respond? and then go for that. And that's basically why I say your personal growth, your leadership growth is very similar to, overcoming things in your personal life, like, healthy living, healthy eating, things like that, if that makes sense.
Yes. How you help exactly? What kind of results you can help achieve the leaders?
Coaching as such is a very important support for every transformation, right? Because it is not about the knowing, right? We all know a lot of things that we should do, right? We all know that we have to go to bed at a decent time and that we have to sleep 8 hours or 7 hours. We all know that we need to drink 2 liters of water per day. We all know the impact of alcohol and smoking on our health. We all know we should exercise. It's not about the knowing, it's about the doing, right? And I always say that a coach is helping you to bridge that knowing doing gap, because knowing as such is not enough. It is about understanding that you want to become a different version of yourself. And a coach will support you in that. A coach will activate this exercise and this practice of seeing yourself where you want to be in 6 months' time, in 12 months' time. A good coach will sponsor you, will support you, will have your back, will not do it for you, but will be at the sideline and, support you with everything that he or she has in her or his toolbox, basically. Because you don't have to do this alone, right? And it is very difficult to ask for help from the people that are close to you, because you have created this environment where your present behavior is supported, right? It is like when you start living, I know that from experience, when you start to eat healthier, your direct environment, like your spouse or your children, will say, Mom, what are you doing? I'm not going to eat that. If you want to have that diet, if you want to eat healthy, you do that, but I'm not going to eat that. I'm not going to mention a word. And it's the same in your professional environment, right? If you want to change, it will be despite what other people expect from you. There again, you have the permission to disappoint, because you are becoming somebody else. You are becoming a different leader. You are becoming a different manager.
It's related to self-worth and self-esteem.
Yes.
Very much.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes. So is there any specific tools or specific techniques or methodology that you use for helping women?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is the coaching methodology. And for those who want to start already, a very, very powerful tool is visualization. It is about seeing yourself in the role, in the position, in the situation that you want to be, right? And that could be in 6 months, it could be in 3 years, depending on what you want to achieve. But having that clear vision, and we call that guided visualizations, because you are guided in that visualizing exercise to use all your senses to really connect with this new version of yourself. So you see her, you hear her, you sense her, you really are basically creating that image of who you want to become in all its facets. Basically, that's a very powerful exercise to do. So if I would have to pick one, I would say that, yeah, visualization.
And do you work with one-on-one clients or in group also?
I work with one-on-one clients. So either there's the online coaching, and then especially for the women that are living in Europe, because that is logistically a little bit more easy, I also have VIP one-on-one retreats. As you said, I live in the Montes de Malaga. I live in the middle of nowhere on the top of a mountain. And this is an ideal place to go deep for 5 days and to really reconnect with yourself and what is really, really important to you and not to anybody else that you are connected with. So it's mainly one-on-one. But I also write a lot of articles on my LinkedIn profile. I have newsletters with a lot of articles, especially, for women that want to grow and develop. And so there's a lot available there already. Also, my podcasts, like we did one a couple of weeks ago about menopause. I mean, these are very important sources of information, but also of inspiration and encouragement. Yeah.
So I believe that retreats is very important for women who want to take a space and time to introspect themselves, find out what they need, and kind of nurture themselves, relax, and then come up to idea how they want to be a better version of themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So is there anything that, is there any free gift, anything that our audience can have from you, or any suggestions, final suggestions, or what they can do for themselves to become a better leader?
Well, I would say an important thing, because we are all navigating change, right? We are navigating change in our bodies. We are navigating change in our lives, in our jobs. There's so many things happening. And a very important thing to do is to build resilience. It's to build the capacity to navigate change, to navigate challenges, to understand what it is to bounce back, or to just, go around something if you cannot go through it. So building resilience is a very important one. And I have a downloadable with 5 strategies to build that inner resilience. And I'm very happy to share it with you. So if the people in your audience want to download that, I will make sure that you have the link so they can get that downloadable.
And how they can easily find you to learn more about your work?
The best way is via LinkedIn. I am extremely active on LinkedIn. So just my name, Helena Demuynck, but I guess the URL will be in the show notes. Yeah. And then my website, oxygenforleadership.com. You'll find all my programs, information about what I do and how you can benefit from that. Those are the 2 most important sources of connection with me. Yeah.
Wonderful. So thank you, Helena, to be with me today. And thank you, everyone, to listen this episode. And you have in the show notes her website, her free gift, and all the information about her work. And thank you so much. And I see you in the next episode.
Thank you for tuning into Menopause Made Easy. You can check out more episodes on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and your favorite podcast apps. Check out the show notes for any website linked to this episode, including where to connect with me on social media. I appreciate you tuning in. Remember to like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you'll be updated of each episode release. And visit me at menopausesupportacademy.com for all podcast updates as well. Appreciate you dropping by.